Supposedly, if you want to buy a new phone and you have gone into a store, you pick an iPhone. What would you see? You would see whether that phone is having a good camera or not, whether that phone is having a good battery or not, and RAM and etc. thing. But the main focus of most of the modern day smartphone is about the processors. What processor they contain. In terms of Apple, it's A19. In terms of other Snapdragon, MediaTek, etc. etc. But are they actually important in modern day smartphones? Let's talk about it. So the modern day smartphone is more likely powered by a nutshell, like a whole complete mountain. We have seen the A18 Pro powering a whole complete laptop of Apple, which is MacBook Neo, and is capable of far more things that we have expected. We have seen the ARM processor based laptops, mobile processor into a laptop. They are completely capable of running a whole Windows and Mac OS kind of thing in that tiny little processor. So nowadays, should we actually consider when buying a new phone, should we actually look for a specific processor out there, or should we actually care which processor is in that phone? The actual answer is kind of yes, but not in the way people have assumed it to be. So see, most of the modern day processors are not all about just the CPU. They contains GPU, they contains NPUs, which powers the AI stuff. They also contain how much RAM, amount of RAM goes into your system. That all kind of thing depends upon processor, a tiny little processor. Now the processor also contains ISP, which just controls your particular camera, as well as display thing. It controls your display overall. So actually a CPU is a complete brain. So should we actually avoid that? That's not the case. But the thing is, most of the people when buying a new phone would not even consider which processor are they working with. Like the last year smartphone, which was Nothing 3, came with a 7th generation of Snapdragon, 1 year prior processor, instead of the latest Snapdragon 8. But people have assumably argued that it's a flagship phone, so there should be a flagship processor in it. But the thing is, that processor, which was 1 year older, was capable enough to run the best cameras, was capable enough to turn all the display on, was capable enough to hold that Nothing software and operating system. Then should we actually consider that whether it has the 8th generation or 7th generation or not? No. We shouldn't actually consider until unless you're not a gaming person, you're not gaming in your smartphone. What you require your operating system should be working properly, your camera shutter speed should be actually speed, and which could handle the whole of camera processing and operating system. It could handle all the social media applications like Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter, etc. etc. It could handle some installing of applications and internet browsing and etc. etc. Not more than that. Most of the modern day processor like Snapdragon or A19 Pro or the MediaTek are capable enough to run all these things even that processor is 2 years or 3 years older. No matter what, they could handle them easily. But the thing turns around whenever your requirement shifts. Supposedly you want a phone dedicated to work for the camera and stuff. You want a phone dedicated to work on editing stuff, or sometimes replace your laptop as your main tasking machine. That kind of thing, you definitely seek for the latest processors of a phone. So supposedly if a normal person buys a phone, they won't be considering buying phone every individually if they are not an enthusiast, or they don't want it to, or they don't want to waste their money in a particular thing. So they won't buying the phone every individual year. So getting a stronger chip will help you to take control of the next 3 years, next 4 years of software updates, as well as no lag of your phone. Like let's say the iPhone 11 having the powerful processor of A15 can still handle the latest iOS 26 operating system. That is what the power of the chipset requires. The A18 Pro, A19 Pro are capable enough to run the 7th generation of the upcoming operating system of iPhone. The latest Snapdragon 8 Gen S5 is capable enough to hold the Android 20 and sort of things, because they are capable enough to run those operating system in a long form format. So if you are someone who don't want to buy a phone every individual year, which is most of you, so you will likely to consider buying a good processor phone to avoid changing the phone every individual year. And again, if you are someone who is a casual buyer, the more likely thing matters for you is the camera, the battery, the display, etc. etc. Not likely to focus on how much RAM smartphone has, or how much processing power it has, how much Antutu score it can push to. Does not matter for that kind of people. So yeah, the ultimate answer to this question could be processor matters for the group of people who are likely to understand what processor actually is for. And the people who are not likely to focus on that processing power and all those, you can just go avoid and go into a smartphone market and purchase a flagship phone which is capable enough to do most of the things. So yeah, processors are becoming good, and unless you are buying a new phone with a very high strong processing power, or you get a low-end phone with a little bit processing power, till that time keep vibrating just like us.